Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. One of the charges, the city, through the city manager, Mr. Kagiso Lerotla, have served me with the charges regarding my disciplinary hearing as I'm suspended. In one of those charge sheets, it says I misled council when I instituted the forensic report into what transpired here. We're going to get to that. But if somebody analyzes this, there's games that are being played here. In your last two communication between Xolani and Tami, Xolani sends the charge sheet to Tami, Tami sends the charge sheet to Xolani. Nobody is sending the charge sheet to Julius Mkhwanazi. They've been advised, and they know it. Serve the charge sheet via email. Thereafter, find Julius Mkhwanazi. If we did not uplift the suspension, I will understand if they're saying they can't find Julius Mkhwanazi anywhere. Julius Mkhwanazi was in the employ of the city. There is no way you cannot find Julius Mkhwanazi. Now what happens, the blame is given to me and Dr. Mashaz that we refused to say, for Julius to accept the charge sheet. Another procedure and process you follow when you serve a charge sheet, Chair. If you're going to have amendments to the charge sheet, we all know, you can have them done even when the DC has started. It will not stop you. Not at any given point in time. The bottom line is from the 15th, this charge sheet was never served. And then we have Dr. Mashaz who keeps on saying, HR, you're playing games here with your work. When she instructs us to uplift a suspension, there's big issues. But we have two employees who are playing games with one another. A divisional head who reports to me and his subordinates. They don't serve the charge sheet. I don't know what happens when I'm not there, Chair. Things they know that I wouldn't have known at that time. But I wanted to reiterate, and I want to still say that I'm refusing where I'm told Mr. Mkhwanazi must not serve the charge sheet.
Ms. Kashika, can I just again to clarify, we've had evidence, including from Mr. Behari, that at some point there was a change in how things are done, where you and Mr. Behari were now to approve decisions about disciplinary action. At page 95, when was that decision in terms of date?
If you see it, Chair, through you, Chair, if you see, Commissioner, 22nd August 2023.
Okay.
Right? Mm-hmm. That is after even the intended date of the DC must take place.
Yeah, no. Please try answer my question, then we'll go quicker. My question is really the date. When did that new regime of doing things come into effect? When
around
things
August.
Must be approved? Around August.
Around
so
August.
Around this date when this is sent to you?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
You've addressed the email correspondence. You then speak from paragraph 56 about a forensic audit. Can you explain what a forensic report. Can you explain what that forensic report was?
Thank you, Chair. EL. The forensic report, it emanated from an anonymous email, something like that, where it was, there were allegations of favoritism against Mr. Mkhwanazi in that his disciplinary hearing was never concluded. We then subsequently were all called by Dr. Mkhwanazi, I think they've also spoke to that, into an urgent meeting as to come and explain what actually transpired here. And subsequent to that meeting, one of the key issues that were discussed on that meeting, and is in that the scope of that forensic, was who leaked the information of the city, who is dealing with, who's denting Dr. Mkhwanazi's name and the CFO. I couldn't understand the part of the CFO, but now that I started following things here, I think it was talking maybe to the CFO of the Tembisa Hospital. I wasn't sure if it was our own CFO of that, but it was more about favoritism towards Mr. Mkhwanazi. So in the meeting, then Dr. Mkhwanazi wanted answers. And she also complained.
I just need to clarify. The answer she wanted was, why has it leaked that this DC hasn't happened, or what were the answers that, what was the leak she was concerned about?
Okay, I was about to address that, EL. The first complaint is the leaking of the information. Number two is the issues of labor costs that were escalating. Number three is the absenteeism of the HOD HR and HOD legal on labor-related matters. In my scope and the request I made to internal audit, I further added the issue of how the ER division, it's one of the divisions that I'm responsible for, it's called Employee Relations, how they've been handling matters of EMPD in terms of grievances, labor dispute in general. But in my scope, I further became specific and said, in the Julius Mkhwanazi's matter. That's a very key part of the agreed engagement letter with internal audit. That actually what happened to Mr. Mkhwanazi's matter, how was it handled? Obviously, when you read these emails we spoke to earlier on, you can see that we had to do the investigation. The ball post and non-accountability and non-conclusion of this. So report...
What was the investigation that you had to do?
It was looking at first who leaked the charge sheet and who leaked the whole process of Mkhwanazi's matter to the anonymous email, because I think he wrote to Jeff Wicks, and then he copied Dr. Mkhwanazi, myself, legal, and others. Number two, it was the management of labor relations matters by the Employee Relations and EMPD. I further said specifically the matter of Julius, the Deputy Chief of Police, Julius Mkhwanazi. Another scope, another point on the scope, it was the escalating labor-related cost. That, by the way, ended up with issues where even Madlanga, who was responsible for this case of Julius Mkhwanazi, and the three others, I think Scholes, Mackenzie, and Twala, Madlanga Incorporate attorneys was responsible for that case as well. That it started with the DC, I'll talk to it, but it was never concluded because we're not paying attorneys Ekurhuleni. Still a challenge to date. So that was my scope, Chair.
Can I, just in paragraph 6, you say the report came with findings including seeking a legal opinion as to whether we continue with the disciplinary process. Is that the report that came from Mr. Ekurhuleni? He said you need to now get an opinion as to whether you should continue.
Yes, in fact, I was going to talk to that, EL.
Okay, please do.
Indeed, in the recommendations, despite in that report, they did speak to the limitations, and the limitations they had, it included the non-availability of the file, as Madlanga attorneys could not give us that file because he said we never paid him. That was one of the limitations on the scope, but one of the recommendations was, on top of all those other recommendations, a legal opinion must be sought. And I think we know that it was discussed here by Advocate Kemi. I'm not a legal practitioner. I do want to challenge legal opinions sometimes, and I will give my own mind into it. But ultimately, we are all key stakeholders in making certain decisions. And I think every institution, if you would not normally, under normal circumstances, if you would not heed to the direction provided by legal, you're going to be in trouble. But I'll leave it at that for now.
Maybe before you leave it, just so that we understand your evidence, what was the legal opinion that on continuing with the disciplinary hearing?
Okay. I know, through you, Chair, Commissioner, you want direct answers. But I want to give you a context. I really appeal for the context.
No, I'll tell you what, it's always helpful that you give the answer and then you can explain as necessary, because we end up getting lost. That's why in the last round, Mr. Chaskalson had to ask you, what is your answer? Because you started by explaining and you forgot to say what in fact is your answer to a direct question. So my direct question is, what did the legal opinion say? And you should answer that, and then you can explain whatever you want to explain after that.
Thank you. The only legal opinion I saw in this matter was we are not going to discipline Mkhwanazi, despite what IPID has said. We're not going to discipline for whatever reasons. And as I said, I wouldn't want to do it. Respectfully so, can I be allowed not to enter into your space?
No, you have answered my question.
Thank you.
Are you referring to the document that was signed by two people, or are you referring to something else?
That one. The one that was signed by
Mr.
Advocate Zulu.
And
I don't know if he's also an advocate, but Mr. Thabo Makwiteng.
yes.
I would like to assume that is the final legal opinion the city of Ekurhuleni had on the matter of Mkhwanazi. One thing I would want to add, Chair, because I'm being persecuted Ekurhuleni through my evidence here, is that the report I initiated, it never reached council. It never reached council. And the reason I'm raising that, if that report went to council earlier on, again, I'm going to repeat, we might not be here. Council would have probably override certain of those recommendations. Where I'm told I'm misleading council, I'm saying when council asks questions and say to council, because the report only came in 2024 June, the final report. When it was sent to me by Mr. Philip Ekurhuleni, he said, for your interest, just in case you might be interested, it's not my report. It's his report that must go to council with the other ones that I spoke to. But I kept on saying to council before the report was available that we are still investigating this matter. I think when we get to other levels in terms of how chief the events went from asking when are we finalizing this matter to a day he decided on the 24th, if I'm not mistaken, of June, that he is terminating this disciplinary process. I want to reiterate here, I wouldn't have supported that. And my evidence, the forensic report, and the letters I continuously wrote to my Madlanga attorneys, bring back the files. My last meeting with my Madlanga attorneys, it was in October, November last year. Where I've said to Mr. Madlanga, I think we're in that meeting, if I can, we can go to page 21, paragraph 62. I was in that meeting with Philip Rahwale, where we had an online meeting with Mr. Madlanga. I indicated to Mr. Madlanga that the executive mayor and the city manager, the acting city manager at the time, they are looking at this matter now. It's no longer about us paying invoices.
Sorry, I think we may have lost each other with references. I have you at paragraph 58. Is